Juanita would like to talk with you if she could. She asked why you were out.
Okay, why don't let me check in with our parties in the courtroom and then we'll hear what she has to say in just a couple minutes, okay? Yeah. All right, Mr. Gross.
So this time, one thing that came up, court asked about the acceptance of the power of attorney designation. We currently do not have a copy of that acceptance with us. We have the patient advocate declaration with an acceptance by both Sheila Thompson and Kathy Canablo. But even though both of them are appointed in the durable general power of attorney, at least to the copy that I have and my client has, there's not an attached acceptance. I wonder if we might have a chance to track that down or confirm whether it was properly accepted before proceeding, because that's going to be pretty crucial, I think, to confirming the powers that the power of attorney is operating under. So in light of that, we might ask for some time to locate that file, either from Dale Smith's files, which I believe are with Mr. Fry, and or to give my client a chance to look through her files.
All right, as to the other question that was posed.
At this time, my client would like to proceed. Feel strongly about making sure that she's looking after her mother's care, and she's put a lot of work into it, and wants to make sure she sees that through. But this may give us time to discuss that more in depth and to reflect on that, since I don't think she considered it too much before today.
All right, as it relates to, I know, the eviction proceedings and the marshaling of assets and management of that, I know there was some urgency around that issue last time we were here.
Of the eviction?
The eviction is a good example of that.
Yeah. But
obviously there have been other assets that have already been moved or in, modified, whether it's for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
And if we adjourn from today, we would be looking at probably a pretty significant break before we can come back. So in the meantime, well, actually I could come back January 3rd, but in the meantime, would your client expect to continue to lean on that authority?
Yeah, in the interim, till January 3rd. I mean, she recalls signing an acceptance, so we believe it exists. We just need to locate it. So we would ask for a stay on any further proceedings related to this matter until we're able to come back and meet again.
Your thoughts, Mr. McFarland?
A couple thoughts. Number one, the court's correct. I did reread the durable power of attorney. There is no gifting in there. We have heard testimony that might amount to gifting. Now, this is something that has to be produced. If not, she's been operating without authority, Your Honor. If the court does grant an adjournment, I would also like to have the court order an accounting, since you'll have time to do that. At this point, I think we probably should proceed with a temporary guardianship in the interim until we come back. Doesn't mean that temporary guardian can't be relieved of their duty, but I would also like to hear from Catherine Patton, Your Honor, because that's for statute. We don't have a valid, and right now I'm operating, we don't have a valid, although there may be a copy at Mr. Smith's office, and may take some time to locate that. I think we need somebody to make the decisions, and we need to hear from Ms. Patton.
I would also indicate that I have in the file a copy of a durable power of attorney, but you referenced today a patient advocate, and I don't have that. All right, does everyone else have copies?
I don't have that.
Yeah,
I also went back in the old 2022 court filing, Your Honor, and there is no acceptance in that file.
Okay. Do you want to?
May I speak, Your Honor?
Yes.
since we're relating back to when Mr. Smith was in charge of my mother's affairs, numerous times I attempted to speak with him in his office with a person that's sitting out in the audience right now.
You're gonna have to speak up. And what I really need to know from you is whether or not you have a problem adjourning to January 3rd. And what if anything, you think should happen between now and January 3rd.
I think that the petitions that I filed should be put in place immediately. Due to the fact that I have been totally kept out of the loop for about a year. Made every attempt to try and communicate peacefully. And was not made aware of durable power of attorney.
Okay.
I have none of that information.
So let's go to Ms. Catherine Patton, who wanted to speak today. I'm happy to listen to whatever she might want to share with us.
It's okay.
She's sworn in.
Whatever you want to say. You wanted to talk to her early and it's your right. If you don't, it's okay. What would you like to say to the judge? What would you
I
like?
just don't want him to fight.
Are you able to hear her?
Could you move the microphone a little closer? Good morning, Ms. Catherine Patton, by the way, good morning.
I don't want my daughters fighting between each other about my property. That's all I want.
Well, I appreciate that. Mr. McFarland, did you want to chat with her?
Sure.
You want to go to the podium? So
Thank you. Ms. Patton, can you hear me okay? I'm Mr. McFarland. We spoke before. Do you remember that?
No, not really.
Not a problem. If somebody needs to make decisions for you, is there anybody who you would want to make decisions for you?
I sure the heck don't want them two together to do it. Neither one of them.
You don't want your daughters? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't want them, one to take care of it, the other one sit there and look. Understand? I want both.
I do understand.
I want,
Yep, very clear.
I want both of them to agree with whatever what's going on now. Together, they better be together.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Appreciate it.
any questions, Mr. Gross?
None of this time.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Patton. All right, if you could look at your calendars. I have just, as of yesterday, had open up Wednesday, January 3rd, 10 o'clock onward. So if any of that time works for you, that would be a window that I could give you to come back.
Not jury, right?
It doesn't start till the 4th.
Okay.
I believe the 3rd is okay for me.
Okay, great. Okay,
Yes, Sean, it is for me too.
all right, shall we call it 10 o'clock then?
Sure.
All right. Any further comments on any interim request for interim relief between now and when we come back then?
Mine would be the court has heard the request of mother. I'm just
Could
kidding.
you reiterate it for me?
Yes, the court has heard the request, the concern of mother that the daughters shouldn't be against each other. And so I think that kind of leans towards somebody neutral, but this is such a short time, such a short adjournment. If there's a medical issue that arises, if we do have a patient advocate form in effect, I don't know of any emergencies that would show up between now and the 3rd. So.
Any comments?
No, nothing in the interim. I'd be glad to circulate copies of that patient advocate declaration to everybody.
I think that would be important. Well, I have listened to the testimony of Ms. Sheila Thompson in conjunction with the questions coming from Ms. Kathy Canablo. And both of them were sworn during the period of that question and answer session. And it was pretty informative as to the dynamics of the family and what both of these individuals believe the power of attorney, or perhaps even just in their role as family members, that they are able to do and are not able to do. And I have some concerns that there have been things moved, transferred, gifted, damaged, repaired during the period of time that has elapsed since the unfortunate passing of the grandfather. And of course, now that Ms. Catherine Patton is in need of a care home. And I do have concern that with the level of animosity, which I think echoes Ms. Catherine Patton's concerns, that there may be further damage done, both to the family relationships and potentially to the assets of her estate. So I will appoint on a temporary basis the requested third-party individuals, and I do that because I think that there have been some indications, at least on a preliminary basis, of breach of fiduciary duty under the terms of the power of attorney that I have here, as well as under the statute, specifically with regard to those gifts, and allowing other family members to utilize some things that probably should have simply just been sold, inventory passed along, moving of finances into a different account under Ms. Sheila Thompson's name, even if it's with the best of intentions and great record keeping. So I think we need to establish that in the next couple of weeks at least, any decisions made as it relates to the health of Ms. Catherine Patton or anything that she owns will have to be made and done through our temporary conservator and temporary guardian. And that will be the independent guardian and conservator that has been requested, which I believe is Karen Muir and Ms. Ashley Hanson-Grimes. Also, I will ask your client to produce obviously anything you find as it relates to the acceptance of the power of attorney, that patient advocate and acceptance, as well as much as you can for purposes of an initial inventory and accounting. So I know that will give you quite a bit to work on, and I don't expect you to have that completed by January 3rd, but at least some initial information would be very useful, I think, and especially as we look at whether or not she's operating effectively within her obligations as a fiduciary, both under the power of attorney as well as the statute. So that will be the order of the court until we resume our proceedings January 3rd. Questions?
Time again?
10 a.m.
Thank you.
I do have one question. Can I speak? I would like to know where the lawnmower went to, that my sister gave away.
I don't know. You'll have to take that up with her, and potentially you'll be able to take that up with the guardian. But what I would expect from you, Ms. Thompson, is for you to make a list of everything that you know of, and then if you know where it is, then put that down on the list next to it. And if you don't know, then indicate that you don't. Okay, that makes sense? Any other questions? I want to know where the lawnmower is too. Let's find out.
Okay.
Does the court have a time frame in which they'd expect that accounting to be completed?
Well, can we, it certainly isn't January 3rd, but I would like you to have at least an initial short list, if we could, of whatever information your client has. I'm sure she's got some information readily available. To that point, Ms. Kathy Canabla, I'd like you to also submit a list of what you think the assets are and any information that you have as well. And we'll ask you to turn that over to both the attorneys as well as our temporary conservator. Okay? All right. Anything else?
Thank you.
That's all this time.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good luck over the holidays, and we'll see you January